This is a true story of a man who died 3 times and traveled in time during the near-death experiences. Tsuruhiko Kiuchi, born 1954, is a Japanese comet hunter and writer. However, Kiuchi has another side as amazing time traveler who died 3 times. Here, I would like to introduce Kiuchi's amazing near-death experiences. Kiuchi made outstanding achievements as a comet hunter. Kiuchi was born in 1954 in Kumi Town, Minamasaka District, Nagano, Japan. As a comet hunter, Kiuchi made outstanding achievements in comet hunting. Thus, Kiuchi became famous worldwide as a Japanese amateur astronomer hunting comets. By the way, Kiuchi is also well known for his amazing near-death experience. Before becoming a comet hunter, Kiuchi had worked for Japan Air Self-Defense Force, JASTF, as a flight dispatcher of Aeronautical Operational Control in Hyakuri Air Base in Omidama, Ibaraki, Japan. At the age of 22, when he finished a night work in the airport control tower of the air base, Kiuchi was struck down with excruciating pain in his abdomen. Then, he was taken to a hospital. He was diagnosed with superior mesenteric artery duodenal obstruction, which was a very rare case, because only 120 cases as to the disease were reported in the world. Unfortunately, it was also known as a critical illness. Actually, no one had ever survived the disease at that time. So, the doctor said to his family, "I think he has just a week to live." However, 30 minutes after being pronounced dead, Kiuchi miraculously revived. It is the only example in Japan that the resuscitation after being confirmed dead was recorded in the medical chart. Therefore, the Kiuchi's case was reported as a rare instance in the Japanese Association of Medical Sciences. Surprisingly, after he revived, Kiuchi told doctors an amazing near-death experience, such as a tunnel-like cave, a huge river, a field of flowers, and the reunion with deceased relatives. As described above, at the age of 22, Kiuchi was on the verge of life and death. He felt foggy lying in a hospital bed and heard the doctor saying to his family, "I think he has just a week to live." Then, Kiuchi suddenly slipped into critical condition. He abruptly lost consciousness as if a blind was closed. Kiuchi found himself in the darkness. He did not know where he was. When he looked around, he found a light in the distance. So, Kiuchi began to move towards the light. He felt as if he crept through the mud in a rice field. After a while, he crept out of the mud. When he looked back, he saw a cave-like tunnel through which he had crept. Outside the tunnel, it was gloomy just like it was during sunset. Before him, he saw a dim light like a campfire in the distance. After Kiuchi walked for some time, he got to a vast river. The river was slowly flowing. Strangely, it was black and white up to the opposite bank, but the light on the opposite bank looked yellowish. Then, Kiuchi walked along the reedy riverside looking for a way to the other side of the river. Kiuchi found a wooden boat. Unfortunately, the boat was half broken and it had no oar. However, he pushed the boat into the river and jumped in it. Then, Kiuchi plowed through the river, swinging his arms in the water. The boat drifted from left to right along the course of the river. Strangely, Kiuchi found that the position of the light before him did not change at all, even though the boat drifted from left to right. After he got to the other side, he fell flat on his face on the grass from exhaustion. After a while, Kiuchi raised his head and he saw a bonfire-like light about 15 to 20 meters, about 16 to 22 yards, away from him. Near the light, the shadows of 4 or 5 people were wavering like heat haze. Then, one of the shadows came close to Kiuchi. It was a middle-aged woman in a mourning dress. At that time, Kiuchi did not know who she was, but he found out later that she looked the same as his aunt who had died young soon after he was born. She asked Kiuchi, "What brings you here, Tsuruhiko?" Kiuchi could not come up with the right words to say. Then, the woman took him to the bonfire. Around the bonfire, there were 2 old women, an old man, and a young man. Kiuchi was surprised to see the young man because he was his cousin who died several years before. He died in his 20s after getting stuck in a bulldozer. Kiuchi was happy to see him again and had a great conversation about their relatives and his uncle. Sometime after that, his deceased aunt said to him, "Follow me." Then, Kiuchi followed her. He saw a hill with a gentle slope ahead of him. The hill was grassy, but it had no trees. They reached the top of the hill. The opposite side of the hill was full of flowers like tulips of many different colors. When Kiuchi looked up at the sky, he saw a big golden light there. Thus, everything was glowing gold in the light. Kiuchi and his deceased aunt walked through the field of flowers. Suddenly, Kiuchi saw a ball of light popped up from the golden light in the sky. The ball moved about freely in the sky, leaving a trail of light behind it like a dragon. Amazingly, it came down in front of his eyes. Kiuchi saw the face of a person in the ball of light. It seemed that the person was looking into his face. It was a noble and beautiful woman. According to Kiuchi, the woman looked like the Queen of Grace. After that, Kiuchi and his aunt went down the hill. On the way, Kiuchi realized that his deceased aunt had disappeared. Where did she go? Kiuchi got worried about her and thus he looked around. Suddenly, he woke up. Kiuchi found himself standing by a hospital bed. To his amazement, his dead body was lying in bed. In the room, the doctor and the nurses scrambled to revive his body. However, no one seemed to have been aware of Kiuchi standing by the bed. Suddenly, Kiuchi desired to return to life again. He wanted to confirm whether what he saw during the near-death experience was true or a kind of hallucination. If he came to life again, he wanted to confirm the near-death experience on his own. Thus, Kiuchi moved in closer to his dead body lying in bed. Surprisingly, the next moment, Kiuchi found that his mind went back to his body. At the same time, the pain came back to his body. And he felt that his consciousness was clouded. Then, Kiuchi lost consciousness again. When he came again to himself, he found that his other aunt was sitting at the bedside. She was trying to bring a spoon to his mouth. In a foggy daze, Kiuchi took a sip of rice water in the spoon. "Oh, yummy," he said without thinking. To hear that, his aunt cried out, "Oh, Tsuruhiko has come alive again." Then, the doctor and the nurses gathered in the room. In this way, Kiuchi was pulled back to consciousness about 10 hours after he was out of critical condition. After that, Kiuchi rapidly recovered. He took a duodenum bypass surgery and the operation was successful. After a while, he was discharged from the hospital. His case was so rare that a lot of medical professionals asked him for an interview with him not only in the hospital but also after the discharge from the hospital. One day, an anesthetist reviewed a record of brainwave and an electrocardiogram of Kiuchi at the time of the critical condition. He asked Kiuchi eagerly, "Didn't you see something then, did you?" The anesthetist seems to have interested in his near-death experience. Thus, Kiuchi told him the details of his near-death experience, such as the tunnel-like cave, the huge river, the field of flowers, and reunion with the deceased relatives. Amazingly, it was well known to hospital staff that critically ill patients saw a tunnel, a light, and a field of flowers. More surprisingly, the doctor confirmed the full cardiopulmonary arrest and absence of brain waves of Kiuchi. In other words, it was confirmed in the medical record that he was stone dead. Nevertheless, Kiuchi miraculously returned from the dead. Kiuchi began to tell people around him his amazing near-death experience. Sometime after he came back to life, Kiuchi has been actively involved in giving a speech and releasing some books to prove the existence of the spirit world through his own near-death experience. Someday, the time may come when the existence of the spirit world will be confirmed scientifically. Then, the new age of exploration of the unknown spirit world may come in the future. This is a true story of a man who suffered full cardiopulmonary arrest, and brain death but came back to life again 30 minutes after having confirmed dead. Tsuruhiko Kiuchi, born 1954, is a Japanese comet hunter and writer. Kiuchi became a ghost. After Kiuchi came back from the mysterious world, he found himself on the hospital bed. Kiuchi noticed that his mother was sitting next to him and his father was taking a nap at the bedside. Kiuchi wondered about the near-death experience he had just now. What was that strange experience? Did I have a dream? Did I come back to life again? At that time, Kiuchi realized that he was free of severe pain which he had felt in the entire body before. Kiuchi had a clear sensorium at that time. So, he could not believe that he did not feel any pain. Thus, Kiuchi tried to push a call button in his hand to report the strange phenomenon to the doctor. However, there was no strength in his hand. Furthermore, Kiuchi found that there was no beat of his heart and he did not breathe at all. Nevertheless, he did not feel suffocated for some reason. Suddenly, his mother looked into his face and shouted, "Oh! Tsuruhiko is dead." His mother shook his body violently. Then, she raised his father from sleep and things got quite hectic. All that time, Kiuchi was watching over the situation. He had a little strange feeling. On the other hand, his father was totally upset. So, Kiuchi spoke to his father to soothe him. "I'll be okay, Dad." But, Kiuchi found his father unresponsive to his words. So, Kiuchi raised his body on the bed and spoke to his father again. "Are you listening, Dad?" But, his father did not look him in the eye. His father looked at his stomach, not his face. "I'm here, Dad." Kiuchi rose from the bed to stand up. But, when he looked back at the bed, Kiuchi found his body still lying in bed. Huh. After getting out of bed, his conscious mind was in front of his father. Nevertheless, his body was still lying in bed. What's happening? Kiuchi got confused by that unexpected development. Interestingly, it turned out later that his father heard his words at that time. Actually, after Kiuchi came back to life, his father said to him, "Actually, I heard your words at that time. I'll be okay. So, I believed you would survive, because you told me you would be okay." Kiuchi was surprised to hear the words. His father felt the spirit of his son. In other words, Kiuchi became a ghost at that time. After Kiuchi was confirmed dead, it was just chaotic in the hospital room. A nurse rushed into the room and put on an oxygen mask on the face of Kiuchi's body lying in bed. Another nurse jumped on top of his body and gave cardiac massage. At that time, Kiuchi noticed that his mother has gone somewhere. Where's she gone? Amazingly, the moment Kiuchi thought of his mother, he teleported to another place. His mother tried to call a relative from a phone booth near the hospital entrance. Kiuchi was surprised to find himself standing right beside her. His mother was so upset that she had difficulty dialing the telephone number. Actually, she misdialed repeatedly. Kiuchi looked over her shoulder at her address book and said, "The correct number is 0xxxxxxxxxxx." Kiuchi taught his mother the relative's phone number. But, it appeared that she did not hear what he was saying. After a while, his mother could get through to the relative and said, "My son died just now?" To hear that, Kiuchi said loud right in her ear, "No. I'm not dead. I'm still alive, Mom. I'm okay." But, his mother did not respond to his call at all. Unlike his father, she did not notice the presence of his spirit. Then, Kiuchi wondered how his sisters were doing at that time. The moment Kiuchi thought of his sisters, he teleported to another place. Kiuchi found himself sitting on the back seat of a car that his brother-in-law was driving. Kiuchi was sitting between his two sisters. They were talking about his funeral. To hear that, Kiuchi could not resist yelling at them. "No. I'm not dead. I'm still alive. But, like his mother, they also did not respond to what he was saying. Kiuchi became puzzled by such an unexpected development, because he realized that he had an uncanny ability to teleport freely anywhere he wants to go. The more he thought about it, the more confused he got. Then, Kiuchi tried to think of the hospital room where his body was lying in bed. As Kiuchi expected, he teleported back to the room instantly. In the room, a number of doctors and nurses were in a bustle around the bed in which Kiuchi's body was lying. They made a desperate attempt to give emergency medical treatment to his body. Kiuchi was just watching the situation from behind them. At that time, Kiuchi came up with something more interesting. I might be able to do some experiment using my friends. Kiuchi's friends lived in his hometown of Nagano, which was located about 300 kilometers, 186 miles, away from the hospital in Ibaraki. Thus, it took at least about 4-hour drive from the hospital to his friends. However, if Kiuchi actually has an ability to teleport anywhere, he should be able to teleport to Nagano instantly. If I can observe what my friends are doing in Nagano, it will later become some evidence showing that the spirit can teleport to a distant place instantly. That was the idea of Kiuchi's teleportation experiment. Thus, he decided to visit his friends in Nagano. Kiuchi pictured one of his friends in his mind. At that moment, Kiuchi teleported to the gas station run by that friend. It was located along a national highway where the pastoral scenery was spread around. In the office of the gas station, the friend had a lively chat with the two of his other friends. They were sitting around a heater talking about their old days and about how had their mutual acquaintances been recently. Kiuchi joined them and laughed out loud together. However, they looked like they were not aware of his presence at all. Then, Kiuchi looked outside and saw a long line of cars waiting for the light to change on the highway. At that time, Kiuchi decided to try a little experiment involving one of the friends. Kiuchi climbed into the friend's mind and then sent an image to his brain that Kiuchi was the driver of one of the cars on the highway. Suddenly, the friend pointed to the car and called out, "Hey! Kiuchi! Kiuchi!" Surprisingly, the other two friends also waved at the car. They saw the same illusion created by Kiuchi. It might have been a kind of group hypnosis. Then, one of the friends started running out toward the car. At that time, the light turned green and the car sped away. They got angry, because they were obsessed with an idea that the driver of the car was Kiuchi and thus they felt totally ignored by Kiuchi. They were so angry that they abused Kiuchi in a loud voice. However, the driver was a totally different person and did not look similar to Kiuchi at all. So, it was indeed a strange phenomenon. Later, after discharge from the hospital, Kiuchi visited the friends in Nagano again. Kiuchi wanted to verify the teleportation experiment of the day when he teleported to the friends during the near-death experience. So, Kiuchi visited the friend running the gas station. However, as soon as he took a look at Kiuchi, he got very angry. "Hey! Kiuchi! You were driving past here, weren't you? Why didn't you stop by here to see me?" So, Kiuchi asked him. "When was that?" He replied. "It was April 10th. That day, the two of my friends visited here. So, I remembered that well." By a curious coincidence, on that day, Kiuchi fell critically ill in the hospital in Ibaraki. Thus, Kiuchi said, "No, I didn't come back in Nagano that day." The friend stared at Kiuchi with a puzzled-looking face. "Huh? Am I just mixing things up? But, the driver looked just like you." He seemed to remain unconvinced. Furthermore, he told Kiuchi his mysterious experience. After they saw the vision of Kiuchi, they all had a bad headache. Furthermore, the next day, they were all sick in bed with the headache almost all day. It's unthinkable that healthy young men in their 20s were all sick with a headache on the same day. So, Kiuchi thought, It could be related to the fact that I showed them an illusion. Kiuchi verified that during the near-death experience, he actually teleported to the friends in Nagano, which was 300 kilometers away from the hospital. In this way, his amazing teleportation experiment was successful. Then, Kiuchi took the courage to talk to the friend about his amazing near-death experience. Kiuchi said, "On that day, I was under critical condition in the hospital in Ibaraki. But, my spirit teleported here for some reason." The friend listened to Kiuchi curiously at first. But, he gradually gave Kiuchi a suspicious look. At last, he strongly denied Kiuchi's near-death experience. "That can't be true. Hold on, I think you've got it wrong." Since then, the relationship with the friend became awkward. No matter how much Kiuchi tries to be friendly to the friend, he is always cautious about whether he is being brainwashed. This bitter experience made Kiuchi think, "I should not reveal my near-death experience to anyone, no matter how close they may be. It's useless to say anything, since they don't believe me. On the contrary, they might think I went crazy." That is the reason why Kiuchi did not tell anyone his amazing near-death experience as long as about 20 years. Someday, you may hear someone's voice in your ear, even though nobody is there. Perhaps, he or she teleported to you to tell something to you during the near-death experience, just like Kiuchi did.